The world has gone mad. In this episode, we talk about why we think the world's gone mad, especially in the UK at the moment, what's happening with the prices of food, drink, etc. in the hospitality industry, and actually then we kind of say why you need to check your money out, check your finances and get that right. And shorts.
I'm a bit casual today.
So, what, today?
Yeah, well, yeah. I do casual.
You made it worse.
I do casual Monday to Sunday.
Monday to Sunday. Oh, I got black tie do Friday.
Nice. Congrats on the rugby the weekend. The Welsh women battered the Irish ladies. So, we're all inclusive here. So well done. Congrats.
Well, at least a team in Welsh rugby is actually making headroads, which is good.
It's all changed now, isn't it? The meeting in Port Talbot has basically sorted it. Paddy Power is taking no more bets on Wales winning the next 3 Grand Slams in the Rugby World Cup. The world of rugby is sorted. Wales are champions of the world now.
What's that?
Well, they've, haven't you sorted the whole region structure? Yeah, they've agreed it all last weekend.
Did they?
Yeah, it's all done.
They kept that quiet. I didn't hear about it.
There has to be a minimum of 5 females on the board. The restructuring is they've implemented lots of changes.
How many regions are we going to have? We're still going to have 3,
that's another issue. No idea.
God. Oh, we're not going to go into that.
But the world has gone mad, hasn't it?
The world has gone mad. Yeah. I can put some context around that.
Come on, you got to vent. Come on.
I'm not going to fully vent like I did earlier, but you can have my partial vent on stuff. Right. So where should I start? Took Sophie swimming on Sunday to the village hotel. In the children's little kind of like paddly pool thing, there's a couple sat there vaping. Vaping in a public place, but actually in the child's swimming pool. Like, seriously, has the world gone that mad? We are literally like lawless Britain. Nobody cares. And when I spoke to the manager guy there, and he was like, he was like, this is a common thing. He was like, people just do not care. That is really worrying. So there was a couple in there, like, as if they were sat in their own house, vaping away.
There's no consequences.
I was literally sat there in total disbelief. There's no consequences, is there? You probably would have gone and approached them and said, can you stop doing that? They would have gone, no, do what I want. It's like all this crime in London with people having their watches stolen. Like, can't wear nice jewellery or watches in London because someone's stealing it. And that goes further. I can
number 2.
So I could go on all day. And then another time, McDonald's car park, is a guy sat in his truck, parked over 2 disabled bays, taking up all the space. When asked to move, he said no. He can do what he wants. And how do you respond to that? I understand why people get angry and end up fighting with people.
Yeah. Because
you have people that arrogant that he was parked over 2 bays in a disabled space and he wouldn't move. And he was sat there eating his food. So I went in with my son. We had our food. I came back out and he was still sat there eating his food. What did you say to that?
It's difficult because there's no consequences to it. And in fairness...
I spoke to the manager. The manager said...
That's my phone. Probably very unprofessional. Turn that off.
I spoke to the manager. And he was like,
ringing.
We've tried to ask him to move, but he won't. Well, what's he going to do? What's the manager going to do?
And it's not down to...
You won't turn up with a tow truck. Like, it's private property. Have a tow truck at the back and tow his car away.
And I get it. The manager...
Doesn't want the confrontation.
Doesn't want the confrontation. I'll tell you on a side note, the best one I ever saw on that. In one of the Sainsbury's in Cardiff some months ago, there's loads of
I love this one.
Parent and child spaces, and it was raining, and we got there, parked in, and I noticed this guy was in his maybe late 60s, early 70s, and he came out and got his bags, and he was going very slow, and the parent and child are right next to the front door. So this guy rocks up and you could see he's got 3 kids in the back of the car. And window came down and he went, and I can't do a Cardiff accent, but he went, hello, mate, have you got any kids? And he went, no, it's a parent and child place. Can you get out? And the guy went, no, it's raining and I'm only going in for one or two things. I'll be quick. The guy went, no, I've got 3 kids in the back. I need you to get out of that space, go somewhere else. And he went, no, I'll be out soon. And with that, the guy went, well, that's fine. He said, well, I'm going to do a full shop with 3 kids, so I'm going to be at least an hour. And he just dropped the car right in front, sideways, of the guy's arse of the car. So he could not get out. And he went, that's fine. And the guy went, what are you doing? And he went, I'm parking here. And he went, you can't do that. I'm going to go in and tell Sainsbury's. And he went, about what? That you're parking in the wrong place. And he went, but so are you. And with that, the guy just brought the 3 kids, marched them in, and went on a merry way. Now, I went in and I got a few bits and pieces. And in fairness, the guy that had parked was only in for 1 or 2 things, because when I came out, he was still there, just standing there. There was no sign of the guy.
What a hero. I would have taken the kids to the cafe, I would as well.
Oh, I would have loved to have just waited there just to see what was going to happen.
I would have done a good 3-hour stint, I think.
It was brilliant. It was one of those things, when you said there about confrontation, how do you get your point across without any sort of violence or confrontation? You just go, the guy in a calm way just went, that's fine, okay. It was so chilled, and he went, come on, kids. And the 3 of them, boom, 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 jumped out of the car. Now, you know not how bad, but how difficult it is with 1 kid, because they're running around the place or they're picking things, and it's a bit of fun in a supermarket. So it's not difficult, but it's just, it takes longer. 3 of the bloody things, he was going to be in there a good hour and a half.
Gosh, I would have taken the cafe.
It was superb.
I would have done a lot.
It was superb.
But that just sums it up.
Yeah.
But there's loads of examples we can give of that. Like I could write a book on it, another book. But maybe the world has always been like that. I don't know. Actually, no, I don't think it has been to that extent. I think it's just got worse. Don't get me wrong, there's pockets of society that have been like that for years, but
everyone now thinks they have the right to do what they want.
Because there's no consequences. The legal system's broken. And I know that from my days of when I was in the police some 15 years ago, or whatever it was. We were heading towards a lawless Britain then. We were putting people in front of the courts, and the courts were giving them slaps on the wrist. I mean, but then they were putting people in prison for, you're like, oh, it's a bit harsh. Do you know what I mean? But it's just, we just got the system wrong. And I understand that's why people like your places like Dubai and all that, because people are scared to do anything wrong, because they'll cut your hands and feet off. Literally, won't they? I don't know.
Can't pick your nose then.
Can't do anything like that. But that's not a bad thing.
Talking about bad things, this leads on. I had my mum over the weekend. Hello, Mum. How before I said she doesn't listen to this. I collected her from Bristol Airport last Friday evening, and it was almost as soon as we got there. It was, the cuddle, nice to see you, and whack across the back of the head almost. I listen to your podcast when I go to bed now. Oh,
brilliant. Brilliant.
My heart sank in all the things that I've said. So, Ma'am, sorry about all of that. But yeah, I listen to them all there. So we tried to do a lot of Welsh things over the weekend. Didn't get her to have a Welsh cake, surprisingly. We done the museum and all that, and it was superb. We had a great weekend. But she came out with the best line, and it's probably been said before by other people, but I have not heard it. And we were talking about the cost of everything, and she just turned on. Nothing's coming down apart from the rain. And I went, bang. That nailed.
That's true.
Nothing is coming down apart from the rain.
And that ain't disappearing at the minute. Yesterday was a lovely day. This morning, crap again.
So, my mum, wonderful lady.
She nailed it.
Yeah. And
well, nothing is coming down, is it?
Nothing is coming down. In fact, I think it's gone the bloody opposite way, which I think will be to the detriment of the economy long term.
Yeah. Because we speak to Claire, weren't we?
Yeah.
And where was she? Was it on the weekend?
No, yesterday.
Yesterday?
Yeah.
2 ladies in a bar, was it?
Yeah.
In Cardiff. Went up to order 2 small glasses of wine, house wine.
Yeah.
And were served them and were told, thank you very much, that's the best part of 18, 19 quid. And they went, excuse me?
$9.15 each, and $18.30
$18.30
for 2 glasses of wine.
Small wine.
Wow.
It's 125ml, small glass generally. It's not a lot.
Can I go back to my mum?
So they turned around and said, no thank you. And off they went to Tesco's or wherever, and we're going to drink at home. That's a big problem.
Because people now realise, since that C word, and 125 mils is far too small. My mum wouldn't do a 125. She'd have to do a bottle.
Or 175. It should be 125 or 175.
I had to get the dig in, Mum.
So it should be 125, 175, 250 for a large. So
but as a result of that period of time from March 2020 to the last the 2 years, and we don't say the C word. People have realised that it's probably the time spent with people, and those two ladies in particular probably realised that maybe before all that stuff happened in March, they may have just gone, okay. But they realised that they probably, during that time, done the same thing, caught up with each other, had a good giggle, a laugh, put the world to right, had a moan, had a bitch, whatever you call it, in the comfort of their own home, in their garden. And they realised, with that price, that if they went to a Tesco, a Lidl, an Aldi, Sainsbury's, whatever, they could probably get a bottle of wine for 6 quid or a decent bottle for 9 quid, which is half the price, and would have had more in there. And I don't know the hospitality trade in any way, but is it going to implode? Because you can't keep putting prices up, because at some stage people will realise, I'm not here, or in the vast majority of places, for the area or the place. I'm here to spend time with a friend or a colleague. And they've will realise, or maybe they are starting to realise, I can do that at home cheaper. And we constantly chat about cost of living, cost of lifestyle crisis. And some people now are realising, I can do my lifestyle cheaper.
Yes, and I think the big issue as well is this isn't just hitting people who can't afford that £18.
Yeah.
This is hitting people now who are just going, I can afford this, but I ain't paying it.
Yeah.
This is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I get it, the cost of rent, rates and all that and stuff has gone up, because that's where the biggest issue comes is, but people are just not going to pay it. So they lost that sale there yesterday and had to pour it back into the bottle, right?
I was going to say, realistically, it probably should not go back in the bottle from health and safety or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Probably not.
But it did.
But it did.
Yeah.
No doubt. But where are we going? I mean, and I think we're at the very bottom of where the pricing is going to go.
And I get it from the point of view of pricing, but let's say you pick that place as an example, and I don't know how big it is, how small it is, but you're still going to have, whether there's 2 people, no people, or 15 people in there, you're going to still have to employ X amount of people to be there to serve. You're going to have to pay the rates, the gas, the electricity, the water, the lighting, the insurance, the whole lot. Now, surely you know your margins, and fine, the margins might not be big, but if you're trying to make a bigger margin on 2 glasses of wine and they say no, surely people from a business point of view should say, I'll tell you what, let's make smaller margins, let's promote it and say, we will give you tapas or sausage and chips or whatever it is in there, and make smaller margins, promote Wine Wednesday or whatever it may be, and get more people in. So if you're selling to 8, 9, 10 people, you're going to make 8, 9 or 10 times 2 or times 4, and surely you'll make more profit on those smaller margins than trying to sell it to 2 people. No.
Well, that's the problem, isn't it? And I think that's why you're finding a lot of hospitality places are closing on your Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays and open until Thursday, Friday, Saturday, because they don't have to employ staff, they don't have to run the electric, they don't have to run anything. So actually, then they can charge lower prices because they're only opening for a shorter period. Where these people are opening on a Monday, because they're trying to spread it out through the week. But you're right. If they did some other things, maybe that would help. I don't know.
But then the person that is very outward going and is really friendly and is a great front of house, if they're only working Thursday, Friday, Saturday, maybe that isn't enough to keep them in the lifestyle that they want. and that person, as a business owner, is going to lose that male, female to somebody else who's gone on a full time. And it's all of these little things.
All these little things that kind of add up, and I think that's what then knocks on the fact that you're not getting good staff in the hospitality, because I know, as a good friend of ours says, that there's some good operators out there in the hospitality industry, and I get
which there probably is,
which there probably is, but I've worked in hospitality, it hasn't been for a long, long time, but the standards are nowhere near what I would accept. Like on the weekend, do you know what I mean? I told you the story about in a well-known steak chain. I was at the bar for the best part of 12 minutes. For the first 9, they didn't even acknowledge that myself and a person next to me was even at the bar. There was about 8 people stood behind the bar. They were serving drinks for the restaurant. They didn't even acknowledge, say, sorry, gents, be with you soon, or something along that line, which is just natural common courtesy.
Yeah.
And when they do serve you, they actually don't know what drinks they sell, what their house drinks are, what certain types of drinks are. Like, people are just not trained. And everyone's just going through the motions. The service was pretty poor. But then on the flip side, on Sunday, I took my daughter for a pizza because that's what she wanted after we went swimming. And the staff in that kind of small pub were brilliant. They actually technically didn't have any space because they were full.
Yeah.
It was a carvery. But when Sophie asked the lady, do you sell pizza? I think they couldn't help but find a seat for us. But no, they found a space for us, and they were really accommodating, and it was good value food, and overall the service was really good. So there's two. So you've got a chain, which was really poor, and then you've got, and I think the standards of service not only come from the top down, from whoever your operators are, your managers in the business, but also the individuals on the ground as well.
You know, it's a very valid point. My parents were over at Christmas. We went to, because it's a positive story, Cozy Club in Cardiff Bay, and there was a really, really good guy serving us. I think he was a Spanish guy, and we went there on Sunday with my mum, and she got she didn't get a 125ml of red wine, let's put it that way. Probably 1.25 litres. I had to have a dig, ma'am. But she said, the last time we were here, there was a really, really nice waiter, Spanish guy, and he came over, and it was the same guy again. And she had remembered how good he was last time, and that was 3.5 months ago. Yeah. And another guy came over, and he was really, really good, and he heard my mum talking, and he went, "Where are you from? Oh, I love the accent." And the two of them went out of their way to help her, and she went, "Steak, how is it cut, or where?" And the Spanish guy came up and went, "Well, it's this part of the cow." She went, "No, I don't want to know that." And he knew his stuff. He was really good. He was really friendly, both of them. And she came out of the place afterwards, and she went, "I love it in there." She's been 2-3 times. Same people are working there. So one, it means they're either getting paid well, they're doing a good job, they're getting good hours. There's continuity.
But I also think the brand and the vision and what they stand for helps with that as well, because Cozy Club's really good for that, always has been.
Yeah.
Their service generally is really good.
But if she can remember 3.5-4 months ago.
Yeah.
And the guy said, "Yeah, I remember you." No, he didn't. We know that because he probably served 5,000 people between then and now. Yeah. But just even saying that, my mom was in her element going, "Oh, he loves my accent, this guy." They just went over the top in a really positive way.
And that's what generally the Americans are like. So I know people say it's all really cheesy, the American kind of way of doing it, but they get it right. Yeah. I know we're not very good at being, I don't know whether it was cheesy or kind of overly familiar and stuff like that in the UK, because we're a very kind of reserved nation, aren't we? And I think that's a little bit of it, but I think we can make a better effort. But I think that comes from the top down. I think if we don't train the people right and give them enthusiasm, the problem is people are just turning up and it's just their paycheck, isn't it? I mean, like, I never worked like that when I worked in the pub trade, but people do, and I think a lot needs to kind of change.
It's going to come back because we constantly go on cost of living, cost of lifestyle crisis. And I think it's starting to hit home with some people. And some people now realise what's important to them. That going back to the two ladies, it's more important for them to have a catch up and a good chat about putting the world to right. Where that is done is irrelevant, they've realised now. Yeah. and people are starting to align their lifestyle with what makes them happy. But if places like that continue to charge astronomical prices, those ladies know that their lifestyle can be achieved in the comfort of their back garden for a cheaper price, which will have an impact on that premises. And if you multiply that single premise by all in the Cardiff area, and then all in South Wales, and then all in the that's not just one, that has a knock-on effect for maybe tens of thousands of establishments, which is going to then mean people are not spending as much money in these places. Rates, wages, all of that is going to be impacted. So if premises or business owners don't get a grip on profits and making that profit and maybe changing their models.
I don't know the figures, Jimmy. Like we ran on very, very tight margins, Jimmy, when I was running hospitality, and even then the fact that like we brought in chip scoops and smaller milk things just to kind of help with the profits and margins. So I don't know what they're like now, because the cost of everything's gone through the roof. The cost of staffing's gone up, the cost of rates, rent, all those things. But they might well be on a shoestring budget anyway.
Possibly, but
which means that, they're doomed.
Yeah, but the nice thing is, I think people are understanding lifestyle now. Yeah. What that means to them. But if things continue to spiral out of control cost-wise,
yes,
that lifestyles are being flipped on their heads, and people can do things. How many people now are realizing that if it's a sunny summer, they can have a very good holiday at home within the UK rather than go to Spain or Portugal. Yeah. But the downside is prices, even for Airbnb, those people are charging an astronomical rate. And we looked at one in Devon, Cornwall over August, and it is probably as cheap to go away to Spain or Portugal on an all-inclusive than hire a 2-bed B&B, Airbnb in, I think, St. Ives with no food. Yeah. Now, fine, it was on the beach. But then it makes you think, well, you're not guaranteed.
Not guaranteed the weather. No, you guarantee the weather anywhere else in the world.
So people need to understand prices need to be competitive, still make a profit for people to use your service because they understand their lifestyle can be achieved in other ways.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think this just highlights the fact that, like we say to a lot of people, is you've got to keep on top of your finances. You've got to review them regularly. You've got to look at what the future holds for you. You've got to make sure you get your financial planning right, and make sure you take stock of all these things, because this is just the tip of the iceberg, I think, at the moment. Yeah. And I think there's a lot more to come of this. Do you know what I mean?
You don't build a house without first, finding the plot, building great foundations, then building upwards. You don't put the roof on first. And it's the same with the finances. Build proper foundations of behaviours, habits and understanding, and then create a great lifestyle, i.e. the house.